What's going on, everybody? Liam O'Reilly, Vermont economic realtor with Jerry Riley Real Estate. I hope you're doing well. We talk a lot about market factors on this channel to help you make a better home buying or home selling decision. Today, I'm going to be talking about how I purchased my home here in Burlington, Vermont, one of the most competitive markets in the country, as a first-time home buyer, as somebody that doesn't have a lot of money, and I did it without using any assistance from friends or family, anything like that. And I hope my story can be beneficial to you folks. So, going into who I am Liam O'Reilly. I'm a realtor in the Burlington area, and that's what I do for work. I was also somebody who was searching for a home in the Burlington area this past year. If we go over to the Redfin compete score, the competitiveness score of all the markets in the country, or I'm sure there's markets in here that aren't listed, but the Burlington market here, they list quite a few. Burlington is right there, and it's number 17 on the list. So it's a fairly competitive city out of all the countries in America, or out of all the cities in America. Here, a lot of the buyers that I work with, a lot of the situations that we encounter are multiple offers. People will list their home, and if it's a solid listing, it'll generate a lot of interest. They'll get multiple offers. People will pay cash way over asking. They will offer to bridge the appraisal gap. So they'll say if it appraises at 500,000 and you have it under contract for 550, the buyers are willing to cover that difference here in Burlington. And as a first-time home buyer, I didn't have that opportunity. I don't have the funds to cover a massive appraisal gap. I don't have family who can help me out. I'm not paying cash. So I was really, I knew that my best opportunity when purchasing a home would be to try to avoid that multiple offer situation. Because if the seller has nothing against me, but when I go to submit my offer and they see me, a first-time home buyer who's financing compared to somebody who is paying cash and has no contingencies, it's really a no-brainer for the seller, especially if they can outcompete me on price. So when I was looking for a home, I was searching for a property that other people were overlooking. Now, during my search, I made a handful of offers on properties, and they all got rejected for one reason or another. Maybe it was some of them I was offering too low because I felt like their price was too high, and I was offering what I felt the home was worth. Some of the sellers ended up rejecting it, and that's fine. Others, I just got beat out because there was another offer that came in. And eventually, I found the home that I ended up purchasing, which is 10 Russell Street. So when I saw this property, I guess something else I should note before going into this is I was searching for a duplex. The reason why I was searching for a duplex, especially as a first-time home buyer, is I see this purchase as a means to get to my end, as a wealth building process, as I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this video and who watch my channel do as well. Real estate in general can be a great way to build wealth. And where I'm at in Burlington, the vacancy rate for rentals is so low that being a landlord and owning an asset, multifamily asset, can be advantageous to my goals in the future of of building wealth and using real estate to support me financially in the future, using rental properties in the future. So that's why I was searching for a duplex or or a 3 or 4 unit property. I ended up finding this property, 10 Russell Street in Burlington. Now, the seller had a group showing. The seller and the listing agent had a group showing for about 45 minutes when it first hit the market. I went to this group showing. When we were there were probably about 20 other parties at the property, just taking a look at things. It was very busy. It was a very hot listing when it first hit the market. If we look at the 550 price, I mean, that's a pretty attractive price around the Burlington area, especially where this is located. So I went to the property, saw it, saw how many people were there, and just said to myself, you know what, this is going to go way over asking. There's going to be a ton of people who are interested, and it's just I'm not going to be able to compete. So I let it sit there. I guess another thing to note is my top price range was right around 530, 535. So this being listed for 550 was slightly above my price range. So it was going to be a stretch for me to purchase it at list price, and I definitely didn't have any wiggle room to go over list price. So anyway, I saw this property. It said it was going to go way over asking. Ended up not submitting an offer. Now, a few weeks go by and I show another property, and I was looking at it for myself as well, but there was another duplex that hit the market that was listed by the same listing agent. And while I was there, that home needed some work. There was a decent amount of interest, but I thought it needed more work than people were willing to take on, and I thought there'd be a better opportunity. So I decided, hey, I'm going to submit an offer on this other property. When I called the listing agent, he said, hey, look, we got one offer in hand. We got a few more coming. So it's going to be a pretty competitive home. And as soon as I heard that, I mean, as I've been saying from the start of this video, I knew I wasn't going to be able to compete. There's going to be somebody that has better terms, that can pay more than I can pay for that property. So I asked the listing agent in the same phone call, what about 10 Russell Street? Do you have any offers on that? He says, nope, we have a bunch of people circling, but nobody stepped up to the plate and submitted an offer. So this being at the top of my price range, what I did is I submitted an offer for $525,000, which was right at the top of what I was willing to pay, right at the top of what I qualified for. And I gave the seller and the listing agent through the weekend to accept my offer. I said, hey, look, this is my final and best. This is what I can do on price. If the seller is willing to accept it, great. I'd love the property. If they want to go with somebody else, I'll give you guys until Monday to try to find another offer. Well, I think I submitted it on Friday morning. So they had all of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and half of Monday to find a buyer, and they had a bunch of people circling. Monday morning comes around. I get a call from the listing agent. They said, Liam, I'm so sorry, but another buyer came in and decided to submit an offer, and the sellers have chosen this other offer. I said, okay, understandable. This is a situation that I knew could happen. I'm not going to compete very well up against these other offers, these other buyers. So understandable. I wish the seller all the best. About a week goes by. The buyers have the inspection period, and for whatever reason, they decided that this property wasn't for them, that it needed a little bit too much work than what they were anticipating, and they had decided to terminate the contract. At this point, when the listing agent found out that they were going to terminate the contract, they gave me a call and they said, "Hey, Liam, we know these buyers are getting cold feet. They're going to back out because of the inspection. Are you still interested?" And I said, "Yep, I am still interested. I'm here. I'll resubmit my offer at the same terms. If that works for the seller, would still love the property." So they said, "Yep, no problem." They terminate with the other buyers. The other buyers terminate the contract, and the listing agent rolls to me, and all of a sudden we're under contract. Now, when we get under contract, I start to understand why those buyers decided to terminate. Right, this property needed some work. The first floor unit was in a little bit of rougher shape. The floor was a little slanted. The tiles here, I'm going through some of the pictures now, see if I can give you folks a better idea. If we take a look here, the tiles in this room here were cheap stick-on tiles, and they were pretty worn. The toilet in this unit was leaking, which had caused a bunch of the subfloor to rot out. So there was a good amount of work that was needed in this unit in order to get it up to speed. So during the inspection period, these issues were found by the inspector that I hired. I went to the listing agent and said, "Hey, look, there's a bunch of issues here. The other buyer's already backed out. I'm willing to move forward if you take 10 grand off the price, or you give me 10 grand back in concessions so I can make these needed repairs." He said, 10 grand's a little much. How about 5? And then I said, why don't we split the difference? Let's go 7,500. They said, okay, no problem. We'll do $7,500 back in concessions, and we can move forward towards closing. Other than that, it was a pretty smooth transaction. We got to closing with a couple little hiccups here and there, but overall it was pretty smooth. And we closed on the property. So, like I said, this property is something that had a handful of issues. There was some work that I needed to put into the property after I closed in order to get it up to speed. Even though there were people living in that unit, the toilet was leaking. There was rot under the floors. There was just it needed some work in order for me to feel comfortable with what I would consider a livable unit. So I did some of that work, and in my opinion, this was kind of my edge. This is what was why I got the deal over the other buyers, because I was willing to put in that work, which is not always easy. I mean, not that there was a whole bunch of work that needed to be done, but there there was still enough work that turned people away. And so, here are the numbers of the work that I put in after I closed on the property. I just went through all my receipts and wanted to write this out for the video. So I spent just under $10,000 after closing on the property, doing work that I needed to get it up to speed. A big portion of that was the flooring. This is just for about 300 square feet of flooring and subflooring in the unit. So, it's not a whole lot of flooring, but it was a big chunk of work. That's what it ended up costing me. At the end of the day, maybe I could have found somebody to do that work a bit cheaper, but it was more important for me to get it done quickly and get it done right. So that's what I paid. And then between painting and updating appliances and work that the handyman needed to do, and those are the other costs. Painting that I spent at Home Depot and Lowe's. So that is my story. Where I ended up purchasing it, just to give you folks a reference, is this home what I thought was a great location. So if we zoom out, the one on the map there is where the property is located. It's right between the University of Vermont and downtown Church Street. So I think it's a pretty desirable rental location, and should have a fairly low vacancy rate coming into the future. Burlington in general has one of the lowest vacancy rates in the country. So, and I think this part of Burlington in particular is very desirable, and I'll have consistent tenants for the time that I own the property, which is in the long term. A couple things that I wanted to note that, I brushed over it at the beginning, but I purchased this, this is a long-term play for me. I'm buying this property as an investment, as something that is a means to an end to build long-term wealth. I have a long-term goal with this property. My plan is not to sell it in 5 years. So even if something happens and the market dips, which in Burlington in 2008 it went down by about 5%. So if we see another great financial crisis, maybe the property value will go down by about 5%. But I really don't care, because I am in this for the long haul, and I plan on holding it for many years. The other thing is that rents in Burlington are, steadily climbing. Their vacancy rate is very low, and even if property values drop and we enter into a recession, people still need a place to live. And this is what I feel is a desirable location and will remain desirable throughout any market cycle. At least that's the hope. So I guess, some takeaways from this video is, I think looking for a property that might need a little bit of work, something that's been on the market for a little while, and it is going to be your best move if you're a first-time home buyer in a competitive market. You want to try to avoid multiple offer situations. That's what I did. I tried to avoid multiple offer situations. I looked for something that was in a good location that needed a little bit of work, but I really wanted to get my foot in the door, which I thought was important as somebody who didn't own any property yet. So anyway, Liam O'Reilly, Vermont Economic Realtor. I hope you folks got something out of this video. I'm happy to talk more about my story and tell you more about my unit if you'd like to hear it. All my contact information is listed below. If you're looking to buy or sell a home here in Vermont or in any other part of the country, reach out to me directly. I would be happy to help you, or find a great realtor who can help you if you're not looking in Vermont. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you folks. And other than that, I will see you all in the next video.